right, good morning everyone. Welcome to the official podcast channel of Arcc Spaces, the Arcc Insights, where we bring you the most valuable business insights and tips from our special members as well as special guests at times. So during this morning, we have Mr. Oliver Ellerton over here, Director of Ellerton and Company, a bespoke public relations agency based in Singapore. So really good to have you here.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How's your morning?
Very good, thank you. Got a good cup of coffee to keep me awake.
All right, how are you enjoying the coffee so far over here?
It's very good, thank you.
All right, that's great to hear. And today you'll be joining us to enlighten all of us today, specifically about the status and the future of public relations. So
Right.
really good to hear more about your insights about this public relations future, right?
Sure.
So probably you want to start off by sharing with us about your background,
Sure.
career experience, things like that.
Sure. Well, my name's Oliver. I'm the kind of founder and director of Ellerton and Company Public Relations. We are a PR agency based in Singapore, but with a remit throughout Southeast Asia, with partners in Australia, the US, Hong Kong, and China. Our team here, based here at High Street, Arcc Spaces High Street, and we do a range of work, primarily kind of PR, a lot of media engagement and strategy for our clients around the region. We also, do digital marketing, so your Facebook and Google advertising. We also have a great designer and do a lot of design work. So this can range from just your static ads, your print ads, to social media animations and the like. So a range of different services, kind of 360-degree services.
Sounds like you have a wide range of talent.
Very much so.
with
Yes.
you.
Yes.
It's really good to hear. And probably you also want to let us know about how PR works and in terms of today compared to the past.
Sure.
And probably maybe we'll talk about the future later.
Sure.
Right. So and also let us know about why do you love the PR industry so much? Is it like more exciting now or challenging than before?
Well, I mean, I'll first start by kind of looking at what clients usually want and need, and this hasn't really changed, over time. It's they want to be able to get word out about their brand, about their products and services to as wide a range of target markets as possible. So the means by which this is done has obviously changed, but essentially, PR is about storytelling. It's about telling the story of that brand in a way that connects with their potential customers and future customers. So, in essence, that's what we do. We tell stories, and the way we get those stories out and to who does vary and does change. Obviously, as most people know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you had your print publications, your newspapers. Everyone on the MRT would have a newspaper, kind of radio, TV. And today, we still have that, but less so, but it's kind of replaced by digital, by your mobile phone, by podcasts, by, a much streaming services, by a much wider range of kind of platforms through which consumers and target markets kind of consume their news. So our job is to see how we can insert our clients in and amongst this mix. And the way that we tell their story is very important as well. There is a difference between advertising and public relations. Advertising, you can be a lot more promotional, you can be a lot more direct. But of course it's different. It's a paid. With PR, it's about persuading both the gatekeepers in the media to run our story, to interview our clients, but also, through the media, persuading consumers, whether B2C or B2B, to engage with our clients. So it's a tough industry to be in. We have to be kind of very on top of latest trends. Like I said, we have designers, we have animation guys, we have digital marketers. They're just as important as the PR guys that we have.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like more complex than way before.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
And I think there's a similarity between like advertising and PR, which is to, at the end of the day, to portray a good image of the subject, right?
Right.
So also about your love for the PR industry, where and how does it come about?
I think for me, it's more about the interaction with people. The great thing about a PR agency is we have many different clients from across a spectrum of industries and sectors.
Yeah.
We have fintech clients, we have architecture firms, we have technology, blockchain firms, and it's this range of clients that we work with on a day-to-day basis that keeps us on our toes and keeps things interesting. I have worked in-house before, meaning I have been a PR lead for a single company, as in hired by that company. And, it's fine, but for me, when you're with one brand, one product, one service, 24 hours a day, for years, it does get a bit kind of boring.
Okay.
What I like about an agency is just that complete mix, and just forging relationships with new clients, with current clients, and some of the really interesting brands that we work with. Really from the beginning, one of our kind of clients is now one of the largest technology companies in its space in the world, kind of worth over 35 billion. We started working with those guys 4 or 5 years ago when they were just a small startup, with a team of I think 20 at the time.
Nice.
Now they must have hundreds of employees around the world. So this company and their technology is in the automation space, and it's revolutionizing the way that we work. That's just one example. There are many other clients that we work with doing great stuff. So that's a really, really good thing as well to see and to work with on a daily basis.
That's really good to hear. I assume you are keeping contact with him or her?
Him or her being
the company who has grown from...
They're still our client, yeah. We still work with them, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's start to talk about the future now. So,
sure.
I think not just me, everyone else has already noticed about social media, internet these days, right? And I think it has really allowed people themselves to be sort of like their own news channels, right?
Yeah.
So, how much has this impacted the industry? Does it impact a lot, or?
I mean, yes and no. Obviously, social media is super important. It's with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, things like that. It does allow our clients and anyone to kind of tell their own story. There are limitations. Social media companies need to make money. So for brands who want to reach a wider pool of people, payment is required. But having said that, content is also king, and great content will get cut through, and that's very important as well. Consumers themselves, we're not stupid, and what I mean by that is, we can tell a kind of self-promotional piece on LinkedIn, for example, and I think third-party media is still very important. It still does have that at least perception of impartiality and kind of quality control. If you read an interview with someone in a newspaper, there is a recognition or a perception that this is a credible company, this is a credible service, simply because of the interview format, and it's gone through a journalist. Whether that's true or not is another question. So I do think, of course, social media has changed things, but I do think that traditional media is still important. Yeah.
Right.
There's still a credibility and trust factor there. Yeah.
I'm sure like there's still an audience who prefer to look at traditional media still these days.
And of course, I'm sure you and I have read articles and through social media. It's a conduit as well.
Yeah, that's right. And also, just to add on that, there's also like an increasing amount of tools for people to use for their own PR, such as like Cision, PR Newswire, or even like Tele.
Right.
So how good are these freemium tools, or paid tools compared to like a PR agency?
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You can't just pay a newswire service and expect, coverage or good quality coverage. They're very different tools. With an agency, you will, depending on the news and depending on what story you have to tell, you'll get good quality coverage, you'll get interviews, more in-depth interviews.
Sure.
A newswire service will just post your press release. It's often syndicated with a lot of different publications. And so you may appear in one of the pages on some of these online publications. Whether that is valuable to you or not really depends. Obviously, they're a lot cheaper, and they'll take any news. The key really is what news do you have to tell?
Yeah.
Is it just a self-promotional, we won this award? Well, no good media is going to pick that up. It's unless you're winning the Emmys or the Oscars.
Yeah.
A business award is not going to be picked up. That's not newsworthy, is it? So maybe if you put it through a newswire, at least you have something online to show your stakeholders, whoever they may be.
Yeah.
But if you have a major funding round, if the story you're telling is market moving and newsworthy, then I highly recommend engaging a PR agency or pushing it out through contacting media yourself, because that could be of interest to journalists and editors. So they're two separate things.
Yeah. I also assume that for someone who wants to do PR themselves, they have to be really educated about what they want to do, right? Otherwise, they might just land themselves on the wrong channel and then
right
not get the right exposure, and at the end of the day, such things are not going to be effective anymore, right?
Right, yeah, and an agency will, almost any agency will have multiple clients in multiple different industries. They'll have a good PR consultant, will understand the media, will have a broad range of media who they can kind of tap into, and every day will be exposed to different journalists and different opportunities. So that's why I'm a big fan of agencies, not just our agency, but in general, because the quality, the technical quality of that consultant will just be higher, in my opinion. And this is coming from someone who has been in-house and both agency.
Right. Okay, so adding on to education that I was talking about earlier, about crisis management. I think this area in PR, a lot of people are not educated about it, and I think even when I myself, I'm not a PR person, but when I think of crisis management, it sort of scares me and makes me nervous.
Same here.
So
it's not just you.
I think this is where PR agencies can really shine in terms of providing this service.
Yeah.
Because everyone can enjoy the glorified days and then just be happy about it. But when there's a crisis and something that could affect the reputation, right? So if they do not know what to do, I guess the PR agencies could really help here.
Yeah.
And how is crisis management gonna be like trickier as well these days?
I mean, with social media, obviously, if you're a big B2C company, if you're a big online platform, something goes wrong, bad news spreads like wildfire, doesn't it? If you're a retailer and one of your staff does something wrong and it's caught on camera, this can be a very tricky situation. One thing I would say is that crisis management, 90% is in preparation. So a PR agency will work with you to forecast the kind of crises you can have. Obviously, you don't know everything, but we can forecast some of the kind of key, most likely crises, prepare for them, prepare the messaging, prepare the responses. Things like chain of communication, chain of decision making. When there's a crisis, things are very chaotic. We need to know who's in charge. We need to know who's in charge of what, who's responsible for what, where the information comes from, accuracy of information. All this stuff needs to be prepped beforehand and can be prepped to a high degree beforehand, and then adapted to whatever situation that comes about. So 90% of it is in the preparation. I would add that a PR agency, however good they are, can't undo a crisis. I think this is a perception that a lot of people have, as if they hire a PR agency, they can make it go away. No, we can't generally do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about crisis management. I think that's more the.
It's about cushioning the impact, right?
It's about cushioning the impact. It's about helping the client deal with it immediately in an accurate, clear, and articulate manner to obviously reduce any negative impacts on the client and hopefully eliminate those negative impacts, and then recover from it. But we can't undo what's already been done. Yeah. We have to work closely with the client. The client, we need information just like the media does. We need accurate information. So yeah, it's very complex, but we can't undo what's been done. Our role is to manage it and hopefully help the client recover their brand equity, both immediately after and hopefully in the longer term. Yeah.
Right. And also about the digitalization these days, right? I think it has sort of made the public pay less attention to a lot of content these days because there's so much medium.
Yeah.
So how can a PR agency help to make content stand out in terms of what your client wants these days?
I think it's creativity and storytelling.
Right.
We've had some clients and brands that we work with, super, dry, technical B2B kind of brands, but no successful company just exists for no reason. There's always a reason behind a company's existence, and this means that there's a trend we can talk to, and there's a story there that we can talk to, and we can create meaning. And it's about being creative in the way that you articulate the meaning of that brand. So you can be, the driest tech company, but you're providing a very vital service and a very valuable service. Right. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. And the reasons behind that are often very interesting, whether it's wider digitalization trends, whether it's the changing in work from home, work from office trends. There's always something interesting behind that we can say, that we can talk about. So yeah, it's about using creativity and being creative and working with the client and developing that story that has cut through in the media.
Yeah, I totally agree on this because I think creativity is like an evergreen thing
to
talk about, right? Even in the future, whereby things get so stagnant and too digitalized, I think creativity is the best way to get things to stand out better. And adding to this, talking about like how do I put it? Let me think. Sort of a company's backstory, things like that. And how does a PR agency make use of this to really maximize the potential of getting the attention your client wants in terms of like authenticity? Yes, authenticity is the word. Yeah. So does this come into like a two-way play whereby the company has to be authentic in its own story, things like that?
Yeah.
How effective is this? Like,
well, we love using backstories. We a lot of our clients, or most companies, didn't just appear. They often went through years of different iterations of tough times and good times, and we love using the stories of our founders as well and CEOs. There's some really interesting people out there. One of our clients, he used to when he first started his company, he had no money. He used to busk at MRT stations here, and now he's signing deals with some of the biggest brands in the world. Another one of my clients, over 50 years old, he still runs ultra marathons. Obviously, pre-COVID, but He's run all the way around the world, including Antarctica. He's done we're talking 5-day, 12 hours a day runs.
Incredible.
You sleep in tents. You carry everything you need on a backpack. What tends to happen, especially in the startup space and in most companies, is these founders will be very interesting people. There's always a backstory, so that drives authenticity. It's not the hard sell of the company.
Yes.
In many ways, the best way of selling a brand is through interesting people and interesting stories.
Yeah.
Even if the brand is almost kind of takes second place, people want to. What this does is personalize your brand, right? It creates a human face to the brand, and this is what we try and do, and this is very powerful. So yeah, we love those kind of stories, and so do the media, and so do readers as well.
Yeah, because I think there's so much content online whereby I think a lot of people also feel that a lot of content is staged, so people would be more receptive to something that is more authentic, more true.
Yeah.
So I think authenticity is going to stay in the future as well.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. And how do you, because I think a lot of companies, they might not know how to get their story out by telling you. So how do you, according to your experience, understand the true backstory of a company?
That's a good question. In fact, a lot of business owners or founders, they'll be very good at what they do, and that could be blockchain, that could be engineering, that could be medicine, but they'll be terrible at explaining what they do, if that makes sense. So our job is to almost dumb down what they tell us, and by that, what I mean by that is, because they'll be so focused on their work, we need to take a step back and say, okay, this is a wider story here, this is a wider picture. Oftentimes every client that we work with, we will sit down and just have a chat, almost interview style, as if we are a journalist, and we'll ask them about their backstory, we'll ask them about their hobbies, about weird and wonderful events that have happened in their lives, and there's nearly always going to be something interesting there that they wouldn't have told anyone. A good example is just the other day I found out that Singapore's first sailing world champion works for one of my clients, and that's really interesting. She has that, and I spoke to her, and she has a great story about how she capsized in Belgium with 3-meter waves and 35 knot winds, or something like that, 25 knot winds. How she traveled around the world winning competitions.
Awesome.
And now she's a Twitch gamer. She plays League of Legends on Twitch, and she has her own following, and she does tournaments, and it's this is super cool. It's really about kind of, there'll be interesting stories hidden in every company, and it's about just bringing that out.
Sounds like one hell of a story, but
Too right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So thank you for your time, Oliver.
Thank you.
I guess we have come to the end of the show for today, and I guess we have some important lessons to learn about the misconceptions of PR and things like that. So, like what Oliver mentioned, stay creative and stay authentic, right? So, catch you next time. Goodbye.